A very good afternoon to you, and thank you so much for joining us here on Channel 1 Lunchtime News on this 14th day of May 2018. We have a lot lined up for you. A lot has been making the headlines in Kenya, beyond our borders, and matters, sports, and of course business later on with my colleague Regina Manyar-Getao. My name is Brenda Zeda Radido, and welcome to our Lunchtime Bulletin. And on that note, we shall begin our Lunchtime Bulletin with the latest update concerning the Sulai Dam tragedy, where Director of Public Prosecution, that is Nordin Mohammed, is this afternoon expected multi-agency search rescue operation 3 days after he ordered the Inspector General of Police to conduct a thorough investigations and release a report within the next 2 weeks. 3 days after ordering the Inspector General of Police to conduct a thorough probe into the Sulai Dam tragedy that left over 40 people dead and several others nursing serious injuries, Director of Public Prosecutions Nordin Mohammed is this afternoon expected to visit the Sulai area to check on the status of the search and rescue operation. The Director of Public Prosecution is also scheduled to visit victims of the Sulai tragedy. This even as the Kenya Red Cross Society Kilifi branch put the number of those in urgent need of relief supplies in Malindi and Magarini sub-counties to at least 22,000. This even as Kenya Ambassador to Tanzania Dan Kazungu said the government has intensified mitigation efforts to ease the suffering of flood victims.
Janga letu limekuwa la kuumiza sana, manake kama ulivyosikia takwimu watu 73,000 hawana makao sasa wameathirika. Watu 16,000 hawana makao kabisa, wako hohehae.
Kaunti tumeweza kupeleka chakula siku tatu. Tunapeleka chakula bales karibu 300 na inachukua muda wa siku 4 siku 5.
Kazungu said he had commenced talks with the government to consider setting up a settlement scheme for the victims so as to have permanent homes and reduce losses during floods.
Lazima tuanze kufikiria, je, watu wetu siku za usoni tutawatengezea namna gani ili tuwe na kitu ambayo is sustainable, so that every year hatupati janga hili tunazubaa tumelipata tu.
Kazungu was in the area to distribute relief food through the Ambassador Dan Kazungu Foundation, consisting of 1,000 bales of maize flour received from friends and companies that were touched by the fate of flood victims in Kilifi County. All right, away from that story, and we head to the education sector concerning the ongoing lecturer strike, where Labour and Social Protection Cabinet Secretary Kuria Tani now says the government will be tabling a counter-offer to striking lecturers later this afternoon as the government moves to resolve the industrial strike that has dragged for over 2 months. Itani adding that the dispute resolution team appointed by the court to arbitrate on the matter will table its report in the court later this week. Now, the lecturers' unions had on Saturday declared that the strike will continue after they failed to resolve the crisis during a meeting with members of the university councils.
Pronounced itself on the matter. It clearly indicated that the strike was illegal, not protected. Lecturers have been advised to go to work. They have appealed against the decision. A conciliator has been appointed I have been directed by court to appoint a conciliator. The conciliator has been undertaking, taking them through, the mediation process. It is ongoing and actually concluded, and the report will be filed tomorrow in court. We are also happy to announce that the Ministry of Education, the employer, has given a counter offer, which we hope that maybe in the course of the day a decision will be made for them to accept or to still to dispute, and then the court will make a decision on the matter tomorrow.
All right, that is Labour Cabinet Secretary Kuria Tani saying that the government is this afternoon expected to give lecturers a counter offer. And should the government do that, of course, we shall be bringing you the latest details of that story during a subsequent bulletin at 7 p.m. with Boni Musambe and at 9 p.m. with John Jacob Kuria and Catherine Achenga. Now over to Kiambu County, where police are holding 2 suspects in connection with a consignment bang worth 1.2 million shillings. Kiambu County Commander Adel Nyange says the bang was intercepted along the Thika-Garissa highway and was destined for Juja and Thika towns.
It is the second consignment to be seized within Thika, Kiambu County after a similar consignment of bang and heroin of known value was seized near Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology. Confirming the incident, Kiambu County Commander Adel Nyange said police are holding 2 suspects as investigations continue.
It was intercepted, and the culprits who were inside, 2 of them were arrested. And upon searching the vehicle, the officers found 8.5 sacks of cannabis sativa.
Nyang is saying there was an upsurge in use and distribution of narcotics and bang in the county, with peddlers targeting students from institutions of higher learning located within the county.
That we shall follow through, we shall crouch in, we shall cross in until we get all of you.
When we see you doing these things, we are not going to allow our children to be absorbed in this nonsense. This we are saying enough is enough. A street value of 12 million is a big thing.
This even as Thika Member of Parliament Patrick Wanaina took issue with the judiciary for being lenient on drug peddlers.
Let us get together. It is one government. Executive, legislature, judiciary, we are one government. County, whatever, call it. But let us join hands to make sure that we eliminate this vice.
The 2 suspects are expected to be arraigned in court later today. Linus Mwashigadi for Channel 1 News.
Now, Kenyans have been urged to keep alive the spirit of cohesion brought about by newfound political unity between President Uhuru Kenyatta and opposition leader Raila Odinga. Gender Affairs Chief Administrative Secretary Rachel Shebesh says the church must also play an integral role in the peace process.
As Kenya moves towards a more cohesive political environment, citizens have been challenged to safeguard national values. The Building Bridges initiative is gaining support from far and wide, even as Kenyans continue to be implored on the need to resolve their differences.
The leadership, the people at the grassroots, are the only people who can bring reconciliation in this country. Because Mugabe will tell you, I'm sure when she comes here, that we have never had any personal deep, separation between the Kenyattas and the Odingas. It doesn't fit.
Gender Affairs Chief Administrative Secretary Rachel Shebesh urging the church to take up the responsibility of ensuring that the effects of the handshake between the president and the opposition chief is felt across the country.
Because there is no way that Uhuru, the president and former prime minister, will come up to here to this synod to talk about peace and reconciliation.
How do we build a future if you can't talk to your neighbor?
Waunganishe Kenya pamoja, sababu umoja ni utengano ni nini?
But even as Raila Odinga renounced NASA's partial civic disobedience, self-declared NRM General Miguna has announced that he will make a second attempt to enter the country on Wednesday. Miguna's announcement coming as the Immigration Department maintained that there will be no entry for Miguna unless he applies for citizenship. The department is, however, not opposed to Miguna using his Canadian passport to enter the country. Meanwhile, the Samburu Council of Elders has appointed former Samburu East Member of Parliament Peter Lenges as the new Samburu spokesman. Lenges moving quick to call for unity among members of the Samburu community to help foster development in the region.
Sisi wote ni watoto wa mama moja, tujaribu kuongea kwa sababu lengo letu sisi zote, kila kiongozi lengo lake ni kusaidia Msamburu.
Samburu has for years been dogged by perennial intertribal conflicts fueled by overstretched resources such as water and pasture. For Channel 1 News, I am Edward Kabasa.
From Kiambu County, let's cross over to Murang'a County, where a family in Nyakahura is mourning the untimely demise of their kin who perished in an Al-Shabaab attack in Somalia last week. The 5-to-1 of the 9 slain soldiers is yet to come to terms with his death and is appealing to the government to help in raising his 2 children.
Another somber mood has engulfed the family of Boniface Kamau, one of the KDF soldiers who perished on the 6th of this month after their armored Toyota Land Cruiser hit a roadside bomb near Somali's Doble town along the Kenya-Somalia border. His wife Margaret Warimo breaking down as she narrates her last phone call with her husband.
Ndio sasa hiyo bomb ifanyike, hiyo saa hiyo kulipuliwa, aliniambia ati barabara ya huko Somalia ilikuwa na shida sana. Sasa kuna pale walifika kulikuwa kumenyesha, wakakwama, wakajaribu kusukuma gari hazikuenda. Sasa wakaonelea walale ndio asubuhi ikifika waondoke. Sasa ndiye alinipigia simu akaniambia pali wako pali pabaya sana, hata mvua inawanyeshea sana.
She says he informed her that he and his colleagues were under imminent danger before the phone was switched off. Her efforts to reach her husband, a father of 2 thereafter, were futile.
Alinipigia simu akaniambia in case of anything nimwangalie watoto wake. Nikamuuliza kwa nini, akakata simu. Nikampigia saa 4 ya kuchukua. Morning nikampigia kuchukua. Ni kutoka hiyo saa 7 sikufanya kitu.
Nikasikia habari kwa radio ikiongea ajali ya hiyo gari ya jezi. Nikapiga simu, kwanza nilifurash. Nikifurash hata siku hii mara hiyo ingine nikifurash akachukua simu akaongea, lakini siku hiyo nilifurash na ikuchukuliwa.
Her worst fears were confirmed the next day when news of the attack broke out. The contingent of KDF soldiers who visited her home, providing the final confirmation that her husband was among the 9 who lost their lives. Kamau's mother, Lois Rurimo, says her son had a passion for defense forces and he has been working with the border since his recruitment into the forces in 2015.
Kazi alikuwa akiipenda. Mara ya mwisho akachukuliwa akaenda kwa hiyo shule ya jeshi. Wakati wa kumaliza akaendelea akachukuliwa akaendelea na kazi.
They now want the government to intervene and help in raising his 2 children.
Nimewacha na watoto wawili, hata wajaanza kusoma. Naomba serikali tusaidie, jaribu at least kufix hiyo mambo yenye alikuwa na fix juu alikuwa anapanga mambo yake kabisa na inakuwa sawa. Serikali jaribu kunifunika tu nisiwe na mfikiria. Mimi ningependa kuambia serikali itoe watu nchi za Somalia, Sierra Leone huko kwenye zinenanga, yani nchi mbalimbali, wakuje tu afanyie kazi Kenya.
The soldiers were returning to their base in the outskirts of Doble town from the Dadaab camp in Kenya when they came under attack.
All right, now the wife of slain Gatunguru, a secondary school head teacher Samuel Mbogo, is among 2 suspects who arraigned before a Murang'a court earlier today in connection with the murder. The 2, however, did not take plea and will remain in custody until the 28th of May when the case will be mentioned.
Alice Mugeshi and Samuel Gitu appeared before Chief Magistrate Margaret Washira as suspects in the cold-blood murder of Gatunguru Secondary School Principal Sami Mbogo on Saturday night. The 2 did not take plea after the investigating officer applied that the 2 remain in police custody for a further 15 days to allow police to conclude investigations. But the 2 suspects sitting pensively in court and exchanging glances would oppose the application by the prosecution. Mugeshi pleading with the judge to release her on bond as she had 2 daughters to take care of, as well as to allow her plan for the burial of her slain husband. Git was also reading from the same script, telling the judge that he had children to take care of. But the judge would rule in favor of a prosecution, expressing concerns that both could interfere with investigations, ordering that they be remanded until the 28th of May, when the case will be mentioned. Mbogo was killed on Saturday night and his lifeless body bundled into the boot of his car, which was found parked 200 meters from his home. The incident coming less than a year after yet another cold-blood murder of Keru Boys Secondary School Principal Solomon Mwangi. His wife Jen Mbuthia was arrested in connection with the murder and the case is still pending at the Kiambu Law Courts. John Jacob Curia for the Lunchtime News.
Now, meanwhile, the national government, in conjunction with the Kajiado County government, has developed an innovative concept as it seeks to encourage more women from the region to seek maternity services in health facilities. The concept, piloted at Ngakatek Health Maternity Center in Kajiado Central, has a state-of-the-art delivery unit complete with a modern manyata.
It is a big relief for expectant mothers in Kajiado Central as a modern, unique maternity care was launched to entice more Maasai women to deliver in hospitals to reduce infant deaths. This is the Ngatatik Health Maternity Center in Kajiado Central with a modern maternity wing complete with a manyata. The manyata serves as a waiting unit for mothers in their first phase of labor and resting unit after a successful delivery. The county government has set up the manyatas to cater for expectant mothers who prefer privacy and warm night.
Mama wengi sana wanapenda hapa kwa manyata kwa sababu kuna joto kwanza wakati wa kujifungua. Watoto wanapata joto. Nikaonelea wacha nikae hapa kwa sababu hapa ni karibu, badala ya kurudi nyumbani na kukuja hapa tena itakuwa hiyo ni gharama na pia itakuwa labda unaweza kosa means of transport.
Traditional birth attendants take care of these women, but alert trained nurses when the due time comes. According to Kajiado County Executive in charge of health, Esther Somoire, this intervention has reduced mother and infant death tenfold.
We've been upgraded as a health center. It means we will cater for a larger population, offer more comprehensive services, including 24 hours.
After successful delivery, most women prefer to go back to manyata under close observation of nurses and traditional birth attendants.
All right, 14 minutes past 1 p.m. here on Channel 1 Lunchtime News. So allow our sign language interpreter, Steve Ndunde, and myself to take a short breather. We shall be right back with more stories, including international news, sports, and later on business with Regina Manyara Gitao.
Every 4 minutes is a chance for you to win big with Mega Dollar. Just go to Lipa na M-Pesa, enter paybill number 295888, account name KBC, and amount from 10 shillings or more. Then select your 10 numbers from 1 to 80 and send to 29588. You can win up to 30 million shillings. Start playing now and win. Mega Dollar. Big winners every 4 minutes.
Sasa shida yangu iko wapi? Kama wazazi wengine wa vegetable vendors, they cannot afford a phone for their children. How is that my problem? Mama Bella, are you trying to kidnap me? No. No, I'm being kidnapped. Help! Help! Help!
Welcome back and thank you for keeping it. Channel 1 Lunchtime News. And a primary school in Ruiru, Kiambu County has adopted a unique model that has seen it operate without a staff room and a school bell. Founders of the school, which has been in operation for the last 4 years, say the model was adopted to integrate a sense of responsibility among pupils.
It has been the tradition of a bell-less system and no staff room for Aimiel Preparatory School in Ruiru, Kiambu County for the last 4 years since its inception.
We've run a bell-less school for the last 4.5 years. We only had 3 children. With 3 children, it was very difficult to hold assembly. It was also very difficult to start ringing the bell for only 3 children.
The unique model that has borrowed the digital model of learning that is rife among international schools has been working for this school with no hitches.
And technologies with everybody. All the teachers have got phones. It is through these phones that they have actually recorded even the timetable. So they run it. We are running a system where the teachers will be using their phones to establish the time and the timetable, and therefore responsibly go to class.
due to that schedule, the pupils are already in the system. It's not hard, and they know what is they are supposed to do at a particular time. They know. They also have a timetable that guides them. They know after this lesson what they are supposed to have next. Yes. And even the activities, even the co-curricular activities, they are well conversant with the system.
According to the school principal, Crispin Olwuch, the model has proved in managing the affairs of the school and making teachers real managers of their own classrooms, minimizing time loss, school politics, and enhancing effectiveness. Olwuch says the school adopted the tradition when it started with 3 children from 3 different classes, one in standard 1, 2, and 5, since their programs were also different.
Time went by. When the population grew, we happened to have established a tradition where any child who came to the school was inducted into that system where there was no bell. They just found themselves actually flowing.
Kezia Njeri is one of the class managers who's operating a desk-like staff room at the back of the class.
The advantages of not having a bell is because it makes the pupils responsible. They know when to do a certain thing at a particular time. It also minimizes the confusion. Because you have the lower classes, the lower primary and the upper primary, and the activities are different.
She says though she had difficulties when she joined the school, she has since embraced the system and says it's one of the shifting from the analog to digital. Linus Moshihadi for Lunchtime News.
Over 6,000 students in insecurity-prone Sigor constituency, West Pokot County, are set to receive bursary as part of efforts by the area member of parliament to allow them access education. The bursary, amounting to 30 million shillings, is aimed at encouraging students to go to school in a bid to stamp out outdated practices such as banditry, which is largely blamed for underdevelopment and insecurity.
Sigor MP Peter Lochakapong, launching the fund, said the money is aimed at ensuring children from the constituency who face many challenges such as insecurity that hinders them from schooling have a shot at getting an education and transiting to college.
Ili tuwe fair kwa kila mtu, waje tupe yule ambaye aliapply, kila mtu mwenye aliapply tupatie kitu kidogo. Na tukasema sasa wale ambao wako day school, mashule ya kwenda na kurudi nyumbani, tukawapatia 3,000 kila mmoja, na wale ambao wako katika boarding schools na colleges mpaka universities tukawapatia shilingi 5,500. So kwa jumla tukapeana milioni 30.
Lochakapong said that a majority of children had dropped out of school due to the banditry attacks along the border that has seen their livestock, which is a source of their livelihood, stolen.
Kama kuna cases moja mbili ile inaitwa isolated cases, isiwe case ambayo inaletwa kwa jamii ama community iweze kupata hasara pana.
He pointed out that the bursary aims at encouraging parents to take their children to school despite challenges of insecurity and drought. He further urged the government to increase allocation, saying the current allocation was not sufficient to meet the demand.
Now, political leaders drawn from Taita Taveta County have decried what they say is deteriorating education standards within the region. Speaking during a leadership forum, the group led by Taita Taveta Governor Granton Samboja accused school management boards and education county directors for allegedly lacking the zeal to improve the levels of education by engaging in the private businesses despite receiving full salaries.
What we're saying is our schools need to get principals who are to the standard that we expect. So I think we must deal with directors, both TSC and education, so that then now from there we can have people who would fight for that,
But also parents have their share of the blame. Ni watu wangapi hapa kwa ECD wako na watoto nasari wanasoma na wao? Because studies have shown wale watoto wanasoma usiku na their parents wanafanya vizuri.
From this term, we are not going to pay any single cent. And I am happy, sijasikia pesa yote as much as we are waiting for the Education Act, but I'm making it very clear Hakuna, kama uko waita, shida yako utafute yako ya mfuko. Hakuna pesa yoyote tunalipia wale watoto wenye walipata 400. Wale ni watoto wa matajiri wenye wanasoma private schools. Hiyo pesa yenye imekuwa budgeted itaenda kwa watoto wetu wa county ya Taita Taveta wenye ni maskini.
Is this parent capable? Huyu mtoto ni orphan ama huyu mtoto ni mtoto wa aina gani ndio umpatie hiyo pesa? La sivyo, if you do not go that route, then you say the cut-off point is 400. That means you're just locking out people who really deserve and putting on board people who don't deserve.
Time for international news, and the United States is to open its new embassy in Jerusalem in an event that will be attended by top United States officials, including President Donald Trump's daughter Ivanka and her husband Jared Kushner. The development has been praised by Israel but condemned by Palestinians who are gathering for mass protests.
To coincide with the state of Israel's 70th anniversary, the U.S. has decided to push forward the event to open its new embassy in Jerusalem. Though the Palestinians are against the move, the U.S. government says President Donald Trump's decision last year to recognize Jerusalem as Israel's capital broke with decades of U.S. neutrality on the issue and put it at odds with most of the international community. Thousands of Palestinians are gathering for a protest along the perimeter fence that separates Israel and the Gaza Strip. The timing of the embassy move has led to concerns about increased tension in Gaza, where more than 40 Palestinians have been killed by Israeli soldiers in protests at the border since the end of March. UN Human Rights Chief Zaid Rad al-Hussein has accused Israel of using excessive force, even as Israel maintains it has acted legitimately to protect its civilians from militants trying to break the border. The small interim embassy will start operating today inside the existing U.S. consulate building in Jerusalem, but a larger site will be found later when the rest of the embassy moves from Tel Aviv.